The prayer. Jesus answered in seconds. A Christian testimony story script. Emotional hook. She was standing in a hospital hallway with her phone pressed so hard against her ear that her hand had gone numb. Her son was 3 years old, and the doctor had just said the words no mother should ever have to hear. "We don't know if he's going to make it through the night." Sarah didn't scream. She didn't cry out loud. She just slid down the wall right there in the hallway until she was sitting on the cold tile floor and she whispered one sentence to God. "Please, not my baby, please." And in the next 60 seconds, something happened that she still can't fully explain. Something that changed the way she believes, the way she prays, and the way she looks at every single sunrise since that night. This is her story. And by the time it's over, you might find yourself believing in prayer a little differently too. Take struggle or pain. Sarah was 28 years old, a single mom working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. Her son Eli was her whole world. He had this laugh that could fill an entire room, this way of grabbing her face with both hands when he wanted her attention, like nothing else in the world mattered more than her looking at him. Life hadn't been easy. Eli's father left before he was even born. Sarah had grown up in a small apartment with secondhand furniture and a faith that had grown thin over the years, worn down by bills, by loneliness, by nights spent wondering if she was strong enough to do this alone. She still believed in God. But if she was honest, her prayers had become quiet, almost mechanical. A thank you before meals. A help me when the rent was due. She hadn't felt close to him in a long time. Life had gotten so loud that faith had become a whisper in the background. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. Eli woke up with a fever. Nothing unusual, she thought. Kids get fevers. She gave him medicine, held him close, sang the little song he loved. But by afternoon, the fever wasn't breaking. It was climbing. And by evening, his breathing had changed. Shallow, fast, wrong. She rushed him to the emergency room, her hands shaking so hard she could barely buckle his car seat. The moment they walked through those doors, nurses moved fast. Too fast. The kind of fast that tells you before anyone says a word that something is seriously wrong. They took him back. They wouldn't let her go with him, and that's when the waiting began. The kind of waiting that stretches every second into an hour. The kind where you replay every choice you've ever made, wondering if you missed something, wondering if this is somehow your fault. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, a doctor came out, his face doing that careful thing doctors do when they're about to say something heavy. He explained it as gently as he could. A sudden severe infection. It had spread fast, too fast. They were doing everything they could, but they needed to be honest with her. The next few hours were critical. He used the word critical twice. He didn't need to use it a 3rd time. She understood. Sarah asked if she could see him. They let her in for just a moment. Eli was so small in that hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere, his little chest rising and falling too quickly. She took his hand. It felt cold. "Mommy's here, baby," she whispered. "Mommy's here." Then they asked her to step back out into the hallway so they could keep working. And that's where we found her. Sitting on the floor. Broken in a way she had never been broken before. Prayer or faith. Moment Sarah says that in that hallway, something in her cracked wide open. All the pride, all the independence, all the years of handling everything on her own. It just fell away. There was nothing left to hold on to except one thing. She closed her eyes. And for the first time in years, she prayed like she meant it. Not a polite prayer, not a rehearsed one. A raw, desperate, honest cry from the deepest part of her soul. "God, I know I haven't talked to you much lately. I know my faith has been small. But I am begging you right now, with everything in me, please don't take my son. He is all I have. He is everything good in my life. Please, Jesus, please, I'll believe. I'll trust you with everything if you just let him live. Please hear me, please." She says she wasn't even thinking about the right words. She wasn't performing a prayer for anyone to hear. It was just her and God, alone in that hallway in the rawest moment of her life. And then, she says, something strange happened. A peace came over her. Not the kind of peace that comes because everything is fixed. Eli was still in that room. The machines were still beeping. The danger was still very real. But something inside her chest, something that had been clenched tight with terror, loosened. Just a little. Just enough. She describes it like this. It felt like someone sat down on the floor next to me. Like I wasn't alone in that hallway anymore, she kept praying, quietly now. Not with panic, but with something closer to trust. I believe you hear me. I believe you are with him right now, even though I can't be. I believe. Miracle. Change. Exactly how much time passed after that prayer, Sarah still isn't sure. She says it felt like both a lifetime and no time at all. But she remembers the door opening. She remembers looking up and seeing the doctor's face. And this time, it was different. He knelt down in front of her, right there on the hallway floor. And he said words she will never forget as long as she lives. Something changed. Just now, his fever broke. His breathing stabilized. It happened so fast, honestly, we don't fully understand it. But he's stable. He's going to be okay. Sarah says the whole hallway seemed to spin. She remembers grabbing the doctor's arm, asking him to say it again, needing to hear it a second time to believe it was real. He said it again. Stable. Breathing normal. Fever gone. Later, when she looked at the time on her phone, comparing it to the moment she had prayed that raw, desperate prayer on the floor, the timing lined up almost exactly. Within moments of her whispering, please to God, something in her son's small, fighting body had turned a corner that doctors couldn't explain with medicine alone. She's not saying it was instant in the way a magic trick is instant. She's saying that in the darkest, most hopeless moment of her life, when she finally stopped trying to hold everything together on her own and gave it to God completely, the answer came fast. Faster than she ever thought possible. Fast enough that she will spend the rest of her life calling it what it was. A miracle. When they finally let her back into the room, Eli was sleeping peacefully. His color was back. His little chest was rising and falling slow and steady, the way it was supposed to. She sat down beside his bed, took his hand again, warm this time, not cold. And she just cried. Not the tears of fear from before, tears of overwhelming, grateful relief. Emotional resolution. Eli made a full recovery. Within a few days, he was sitting up in bed asking for cartoons and grape juice, completely unaware of how close he had come to not waking up at all. Kids are like that. They bounce back with a resilience that leaves the adults around them in awe. But Sarah wasn't the same after that night. Not in a way anyone else would necessarily notice at first glance. She still worked her 2 jobs. She still lived in that same small apartment. Nothing about her external life changed overnight, but something inside her had shifted permanently. She started praying every single morning, not out of obligation, but because she wanted to. She started reading her Bible again, the one that had been sitting on her nightstand collecting dust for years. She found a small church nearby and started going every Sunday, Eli's hand in hers. Both of them singing songs neither of them fully knew the words to yet. She says that night in the hallway taught her something she had forgotten. That God isn't distant. He isn't just an idea you bring out during emergencies. He is close, he is listening, and sometimes he answers so fast and so clearly that there's no room left for doubt. She still gets emotional talking about it. She says there are nights she'll look over at Eli sleeping peacefully in his bed, and she'll just stand in the doorway and cry, overwhelmed with gratitude, remembering how close she came to losing him, and how God met her in the one moment she had absolutely nothing left to give. I used to think prayer was something you did when you had time, she says. Now I know prayer is the most powerful thing you can do when you have nothing left at all. Inspirational ending. Maybe you're watching this today, and you're in your own version of that hospital hallway. Maybe it's not a sick child. Maybe it's a marriage falling apart, a diagnosis you weren't ready for, a financial storm you don't know how to survive, or a grief so heavy you can barely breathe through it. Maybe your faith has grown thin too. Maybe your prayers have become quiet, mechanical, distant, not because you stopped believing, but because life just got so loud. Sarah's story is a reminder that it is never too late to fall to your knees and pray like you mean it. It's never too late to bring your rawest, most honest, most desperate self to God and simply say, please, I need you. I believe. You don't need perfect words. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't even need a strong, unshakable faith walking into that moment. Sarah didn't. She walked into that hallway broken, unsure, and afraid. But she walked out of it changed forever because she finally stopped carrying the weight alone. God is not far from you right now. He is not too busy, too distant, or too disappointed to hear your voice. Sometimes he moves slowly, teaching us patience and trust along the way. and sometimes in the mo,